Hi everyone, my name is James Coote and this is Dev Diary number 6 for Flight of Light. In space! So a while back I made a commitment that I wasn't going to make another game set in space. Not because I don't like games set in space, in fact I love them, and that's part of the point. There's so many people who are making great games set in space that I'll leave that to them and I'll play those games and then I'll make something different for my own games. Well, I've kind of gone back on that a little bit with Flight of Light. And the reason is that it makes a lot of sense to have a level set in space. There's levels that are set in other worlds that aren't set in space, that are set in giant caves or under the waters or in coral reefs or in, amongst massive floating islands and so on. So from the sort of pure artistic creative point of view, I don't feel so bad because of it. Yes, there are some levels set in space, but they're not all that the game is about, and they make sense, and so I'm happy to have them in there. And if you haven't already guessed, that's what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. I've made a couple of levels that are set in space, so as you can see from the footage that's playing in the background, you can whiz around a giant asteroid colony, or there's also a giant blue space factory, as I'm terming it, which I've also made, where you can sort of weave in and out of giant storage containers and fly around futuristic looking space stuff. And I'm actually a little bit ahead of schedule, which is nice. So what I've also been doing is just going back and tidying up a lot of the things that I sort of left to one side from before and said, oh yeah, I'll basically just fix those, finish those off at the end. They're kind of minor things. So for example, things like level difficulty, I'd set up the game to only work with medium level difficulty, and now I've gone back and fixed easy and hard levels. So in easy you have only 3 colours, in hard you have 8. I've also been working on improving the menus and adding more options to the menus, and also I've started work on a tutorial just yesterday, which is very important because I think as much as I've shown the game at lots of events and spent a lot of time trying to really boil the game down to the point where you can just pick it up and play, I think it still does need a little bit of instruction. There's some things that I've noticed. For example, a lot of people ask, well, what do the different colours mean? Well, at an earlier point in the game's evolution, they did have a meaning, because rather than turning the spaceship, you'd be turning the colour wheel around the spaceship, and so you'd be matching colours. Well, since the colour wheel has been taken out, there's not so much need for the actual different colours, aside from just to be able to differentiate between the different notes. But it still slightly confuses people. They always ask about that, so that's something to put in the tutorial. Also, some people are like, do I have to avoid the notes or do I have to hit them? Or they're used to playing games like Audio Surf, where you don't hit every single block in Audio Surf. You have to miss some and hit others. So because people have got that existing history coming from other games, you need to explain them, just hit everything and just try and get high enough score. And I think the final thing that's not obvious, and which I've struggled repeatedly with to try and make it more obvious, it's not something I've been able to do as well as I want, but emphasize that idea that you need to be accurate as well. So you're not just trying to hit it, but you're trying to hit it dead on. You're trying to hit it as perfectly as you possibly can, and that will give you the maximum number of points. So again, that's something to put into the tutorial, because I don't think it's obvious in the gameplay. I've tried various different ways to make it more obvious, and none of them have really worked. So it's like, right, just put that in the tutorial, and hopefully people will pick it up, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, that's why I'm not getting as good a score as everyone else on the leaderboards or what have you. So moving forward, going to keep doing stuff like that, so implementing various things in the options, in the menus, allowing you to do, for example, selecting specific individual levels, as well as being able to play individual worlds at the same time, as well as being able to play through the campaign mode, so you play through the whole game and all the levels all in one go, and at the end of each level it switches to the next level, and so you make progress. That kind of thing is what I'm going to be working on for the next couple of weeks. I'm also going to be making the final 2 levels, so there's going to be a 3rd level set in space, and there's also going to be, for the underwater world, I still haven't done the beach level, so that still needs to be done. Lots of palm trees and beaches and lovely azure blue waters and stuff like that. And as well, I did mention in the last update that I'd give you more details about the planned beta for the game, the closed beta, which will be exclusive to people who backed at the right Kickstarter level initially. And yeah, I mean, at the moment I still need to finish off doing all the menus, implementing the campaign and so on, things like that, and also make the final 2 levels. But also I'm still waiting on the musicians to finish up their musical compositions. So I think it's probably still just about on schedule to come out at the end of November, or perhaps start of December. But yeah, at the moment I don't have really concrete details. I mean, one thing I can say is that it'll definitely be just PC, and the game unfortunately hasn't been greenlit yet, so if you want you can vote for it on Greenlight. I'll put a link to that in the video. But it means that, okay, the system that Steam has for doing beta releases and closed betas and early access and all that sort of stuff on Steam is really nice, but not going to be able to take advantage of that, which is unfortunate. But yeah, at the moment it looks like it's going to be PC beta, and I'll try and do Linux and Mac builds as well. I mean, it's not very hard because you just change the option in Unity, you click the button, and there you have those builds. And then hopefully as well get some more testing done on that side of things, so that can still support those platforms. It's easier for me to test because I've got Windows PCs, so I can pretty much test everything on that. But with Linux and Mac I need a little bit of help in identifying problems that otherwise I wouldn't know are there. So that's the other side to that. And yeah, like I say, hopefully next update, which will be in 2 weeks' time, I will be able to say a lot more definitively, yes, we're going to have the beta, it's going to be on this date, and this is how you can get hold of it. In the meantime, thanks for listening, and see you next time.